people really want to help. They really want to be involved. It would be very challenging, I think, if we were just going down there and trying to get people to show up and dragging people through the motions and whatever. But people are locked in. They're excited for it. It's just hard sometimes to know how or where or when. And I think we provide those answers for people to be able to be a part of it.
Hey, so welcome back to the Goodness Game podcast. I'm here with Jennifer and Jack Zebo. What's going on, guys?
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, sure thing. I'm glad you guys could come on. So today's going to be a pretty interesting discussion because you guys do a lot in the Pittsburgh community. First, why don't you introduce yourself? Like, what all do you guys do?
So we are a part of or the leadership of Harvest Street Mission. And what we do is we go down to the north side of Pittsburgh on Sundays, and we have a trailer full of clothing and toiletries and things like that. And in the wintertime, hats and gloves and coats. And we also provide a hot meal for people that come down and are a part of our outreach.
Yeah, and something I think is kind of cool too is because like this isn't your job. It's like it's side hustle, right? Like you guys have real jobs. This is just like almost like a hobby kind of calling, right?
I do joke sometimes. I say some people go golfing, and we go down and serve on the north side.
Yeah, that's cool. How'd you guys get into doing this?
Well, Jack and I did our first homeless serving probably 7 or 8 years ago now. It feels like a long time ago. And we left that serving down in the north side. We were just moved. Like it moved us to want to change our life. And so, fast forward, we did a few years of serving in different areas with different organizations and just loved it. And we had such a surrounding of people that supported us and came alongside us in every meal that we did. And then Christy Pendarvis, who used to run Mission from Mars, came to realize it was time to take a break, serving every Sunday she was like 9 years in it was time for a break. And so she asked Jack and I if we would pray about taking over that, mission. And so we spent time, really making sure we're making a good decision. And here we are almost 4 years later.
Yeah, it's pretty cool too. So I know Christy also, and didn't she get started? She just started going underneath the bridges, helping people out because she was a nurse.
Yeah, I think she was like passing out meals with her kids. So cool.
Yeah. So, and that's what I like about what you guys are doing too, because it's more of a grassroots thing you're doing. You guys, it's not like you're a big nonprofit organization or a big corporation or anything. You're just like normal people, like everyone else,
That's what I said to somebody yesterday who came down for the first time. I said, we're like normal working people.
Well, I think that's why we get a lot of student groups and a lot of, church groups and different people that come volunteer is because the bar is so low. You just show up and we'll put you to work. There's not paperwork or clearances or, whatever. You're just able to come and serve.
Yeah. That's really cool. So just so everybody listening knows too, explain a little bit, because I know you guys you guys have people volunteer every week, and every week you go downtown Pittsburgh. I actually saw on your website too, I'm going to read it. It says, we believe the most important part of the mission's relationship building. To do so, you're consistent.
Yeah.
Up in Pittsburgh right now, it's freezing, or in the rain, things like that. But you guys go down every single week, involve other people too. And what all goes into that? And what are you guys doing when you're down there?
Well, while we're down there, it's pretty busy because we are often introducing a group that hasn't been down before to the process of setting up and handing things out and getting meals and keeping things organized. But I think for us, the most amazing part, as you talk about building relationships, has been seeing some of our volunteers who come down weekly start to get connected to other volunteers, start to get connected to some of our guests down there. It's just amazing to kind of just look down the line of tables and just see people hugging and talking and connecting. It really is just that spider web of interactions that really drives us. I used to think that we were a big part of it, and now I look down the line and realize we're just we're just on the side. We're like non-player characters in video game kind of things.
And a lot goes into it leading up to it. There's the whole scheduling process and, you know, people are always calling, especially if they're coming for the first time, asking a lot of questions. And, we just try to guide everybody the best we can and letting them know that, nothing is consistent by the way of how the serving goes every week, but the consistency of just being there, especially for the people that we serve, is just invaluable.
Yeah, and that's because I started thinking about it. So in the book that I wrote, I came up with like a helper's heart test.
Yeah.
You guys are the ones that were in my head. I
Wow.
kind of thought the scenario through you guys. I'm like, okay, because there's so many different things. It's not like you just show up and
Yeah.
Food. Like I was.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was super thankful whenever you, after the test, you kind of reiterated that you might be a few of these, or, you might be strong. Cause I was like, yep. I loved all of them. And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And so the reason I was bringing that up is because you guys, like behind the scenes, there's like all this stuff going on. It's like, you got to get donations. You got to get food. You got to get permission. You got to get volunteers. You got to get like connect people. Like maybe some people need jobs, or maybe they need apartments, or there's like so many different things there. Like, how do you even manage that?
Well, we have a wonderful team of volunteers. We have people that collect donations. We have people that sort donations and put their sizes on them. We have people who answer our emails. We have people who do our social media, people who, help with thank you notes. Like, we are blessed beyond measure with support. And at the same time, it takes up a lot of our personal time. And, our home is our headquarters. We have a garage full of donations, and now we have a shed out back full of donations, and a trailer out back. So it's a lot to manage, but, I think because of the amazing people that have come alongside us, that's how we're able to do it. And the amount of people that show up every week is beyond encouraging to us. We drive home and we're just like, can you just believe how many people just show up to help? I think it's that encouragement that, at least for me, keeps me going.
And the constant people that are just like, oh, I'll do that. I'm in.
Yep.
Like it would be very challenging, I think, if we were just going down there and trying to get people to show up and dragging people through devotions or whatever. But like, people are locked in. They're excited for it. They're finding people that need a coat, or finding people that, need a bed, or bringing extra water, or, doing stuff where I don't even have to mention, hey, the garbage is full. Could somebody take it? We've got people that are ahead of us already moving on. So it really, without all those people being involved, we say every week, like, the volunteers are the engine that makes it happen. Because if it was just she and I, and although she does a ton of work for it, obviously I drive the trailer down, but if it was just she and I, we wouldn't be able to manage it. But people keep showing up. And I think what I've really realized is that people really want to help. They really want to be involved. It's just hard sometimes to know how or where or when. And I think we provide those answers for people to be able to be a part of it.
That's a good point too. Cause you're kind of like the easy button. It's like, hey, you know what? I want to go out and like help out, but I don't know what to do. You have basically all the different ways that people can fit in to help, and you can kind of plug them into what they fit at.
Absolutely. I think too, one of our volunteers who's been volunteering with us for a few years, she reached out to us because on like a Christmas Eve, her and her family got a bunch of blankets, and we're like driving around the city looking, it makes me think of your umbrella story, right? Like just driving around the city looking for people to give blankets to. And so she called me after Christmas and she was like, it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. And I was like, well, I can assure you that about 100 people are going to show up for blankets on Sunday. And they came, and they still volunteer with us to this day. So it's a good way to help people to see how you can get involved.
Right. So you have people that come weekly, like repeating, then you have a bunch of people that just come down for the weekend. Like, how do you find volunteers?
Well, every week we say that word of mouth and social media is our only form of advertising. And so it really is very grassroots. I mean, the foundation that Christy set with Mission from Mars was amazing. We have such a support from the North Hills, and it's just groups that tell other people. Or yesterday, for example, we had a whole team come they were all new except for the leader. And, those families were like, this was amazing. I want to do that. And so it's just literally this just network of people just telling about people what a great experience it was. And it's definitely catching on in the South Hills and where we live. And it's really cool to see that.
And there were the first couple of years, there were a few times that we probably had 10 or 15 people total, and maybe sometimes less than 10. And we're like, well, we're just going to work with this number. But since then, our circles are now always like 25, 30 people, 40 people, like that are showing up on their free Sunday to come down and volunteer, which is pretty cool. And I think one of the great things that we've seen, because we, we're relatively unstructured, people come down and say, hey, I just want to walk down the line and pray for people, or I'm just going to hang out here and I'll handle handing out tents and boots, or I'm going to do underwear down here. So like people have taken on, they've actually become like part of the mission, or the mission is part of them, where they're engaged in a way that isn't just, oh, this is somebody else doing stuff and I'll help out. It's like, it is they have a piece of it and a stake in it.
A complete ownership. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, okay, let's look at it from the other side. So the people that come, most of them are homeless or like low income housing. They come down on Sundays for food and then other things like tents or clothes or whatever they need. What do you see from their side? Because I know a lot of people that are homeless, and a lot of people look at the homeless like they're almost like invisible. So like, what do you see, and what's it like?
I'll go first. I think we could probably talk about that for way longer than you have on a podcast, but there's a couple people that we've really gotten to know and have grown our relationships with. And I just consider them great friends. And whenever I see people on the north side coming to lunch, I see people that are just like me, but they don't have the resources and the support that I had. That whatever the thing was, that was the thing that made them end up where they are, whether it's homeless or living in, a shelter. I could be that person too. And I could have been at any time. I mean, think about your story, right? Like, you're just like one step away. And I have such a family that's behind me. And if that happened to me, I would be okay. But not everybody has that. And so I just see a person who something happened somewhere along the line that their luck just ran out. And sometimes there's people that they have addiction, and our family knows that personally. And I just have such, sympathy for them, because they're trapped. They're trapped and they don't have a support system to get themselves out. So that's what I see, are people that they just need love. That's what I see.
And I think that because of the experience that we had of losing someone, in our family through addiction, well, we see people down there, addiction is pretty common. You view them differently. You say, yeah, I now look at them and I think that somebody, was somebody's little baby at one point, and they were so happy to have that baby and so excited. And like, you think, how did you get here? But really, how can I just, for this hour, just love and support and encourage that person to get them what they need and make sure that they're safe for an hour. And I think we've got a number of volunteers that are in that same place, where they show up because somebody in their family has been on the streets and going through tough times, and they want them to be supported as well.
Now, you say safe for an hour. So like, even that's something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we often tell our volunteers to come down, like, you might be that 15 or 30 minute or hour interaction where, they're getting to talk with somebody and share how they're doing and just talk about random things of the day or the Steelers game or whatever, where they can be certain that they're safe and that the person they're talking to isn't trying to take anything from them. So we have lots of people that, they'll grab a meal and, maybe they'll grab, something off the tables, but a lot of people want to just come down and just talk and interact and just have some face-to-face people, that will care enough about them to listen.
I'll just piggyback off that a little bit. I'm thinking of a guest who I won't name, but one week he calls me mom. And although I can't imagine we're that different in age, but he's childlike in many ways. And one week we pulled up and I got out of the car and he came running over, Mom, and he grabbed onto me like a child that hadn't seen his mom in 20 years. And I don't know what he was facing that day, but he stayed by my side. He was safe right there with me. Not that I'm going to protect him from a whole lot, but I just knew that he needed someone that was safe. It was such a moving experience because I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I love him. He's a sweet, sweet kid, but I was just like, oh, he's hurting and he's scared right now. And this is, you know, he came here. He showed up here.
Right. And that's something too, because like you think you got to do huge stuff. Sometimes listening to somebody or being there.
Yeah.
It's like what people need. A lot of people think it's always the physical things. Hey, you know what? I got to go buy stuff.
Yep.
A lot of times it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we often have a lot of stuff. So we try to remind our volunteers, like, our garage is full of stuff. We are just looking for people. And really, the stuff is just a way to get people that live down there to show up. But then our goal is to just try to make connections with people individually, get to know their name, their situation, and then provide the little things that we can. And providing beds for families that have moved into housing, providing tents for people that are without housing. It's just a million little pieces that are out there that that all of our volunteers have jumped in and started to provide.
And I don't think, oh, sorry, I was just going to say, I also think that those interactions that you're talking about, like, you know, once we get to know a person and they're like, hey, I need a pair of sneakers, right? We go and get them a pair of sneakers and you show up with a pair of sneakers in their size that, you know, was a nice pair of sneakers. And they're just like, they can't believe it. They just can't believe it. One time I had a guy ask for sweatpants. He's a guest. He's been coming since the beginning. And I bought him 2 pairs of sweatpants. So I thought, what the heck? Like 1 pair of sweatpants? And he said to me, you do love me. And I said, I tell you every week that I love you. And I do love you. And I pray for you. And I think about you. And he just couldn't believe it. And it's sweatpants.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is.
And what you said before too, it's like anybody could have that happen. It's circumstance. So number one, you're born or a different neighborhood or born in a different family. Like me, I come from a pretty strong family. So I had a lot, when stuff went wrong in my life, I have family there. It kind of bails me out a little bit when I was younger. A lot of people don't have that. So one wrong turn puts them on the street, or one wrong decision gets them hooked on drugs. And like when you're in the street, it's hard. I would think it would be hard to get a job. And like, how do you come back from that? Because if you're on the street, you need to get a job, but who's going to hire you if you don't even have a place to stay, to shower? So it's like, what happens then? Like, how do people get out of that?
We talk about it. I always explain it to people that that are down for the first time, that it's like playing professional hockey. So if you look at hockey teams, the vast majority of players, if you kind of stat them, were born in January, February, or March, right? Because that means they were at the cutoff for hockey. They were older, bigger, faster, stronger. They got better practices and better coaches and more ice time and all these things. And so I explained to, people that getting off of the streets, getting out of homelessness, getting out of addiction is like becoming a professional hockey player. You have to have strong will, dedication. You have to have some really good luck, and then you have to have help to make it out of there. It's so much more challenging. We often hear people say, well, why don't they just do X? And I think that if you haven't ever been in that situation, or you don't know people are in that situation, you don't realize how big X is and how overwhelming X is, and how being in that vulnerable state just changes the mindset to just default back to what is known, rather than saying, I'm going to fight my way out. They literally just need a coach, or they just need a mentor, or they just need somebody that when that health issue happens, when their car breaks down, when their landlord evicts them, when their friend who they're sleeping on their couch, ends up in prison, and they now lost all of their stuff at their friend's house. Like, those are the little things that for a lot of people that have money, that's just a minor step back. No big deal. You'll fix it. You'll pay for it. Whatever. But if you're on that edge, if you're vulnerable, those things are just too big to fight off.
I think about my our family member that we talked about who died of a heroin overdose, and she had everything she needed at her disposal. She had family that loved her. She had money. She had the best rehabs at her fingertips. She had 2 master's degrees. You would think like, and if she couldn't get out of it, how is a friend who doesn't have a house, doesn't have a family, doesn't have a job, like how can they get out of it? I can't imagine.
Right. I can see that, like, say with drugs. So I never got really addicted to drugs, but I have an addictive personality. So I was just never in a situation to get the chance, because maybe when I was young and stupid. I did a lot of like crazy stuff. So it's like when I was younger, if I was in that situation, who knows?
Right.
Once you do one thing, you're hooked. Like everyone's got their different personalities. Like, I don't know. I'm just like that by nature. Like I go all in for everything I do. And something like that could turn your life sideways, and then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, in some cases, it wasn't even their decision. We know people who have lost family members and were coming down and serve with us because their son had a dental procedure, got prescribed pain medication, and that's where the addiction started. So there's just like, we always say that it's not that sort of black and white thing where it's just like one single thing. Like it's societal issues, it's structural issues, and then it's like personal issues. So there's like a lot to kind of piece together.
Yeah.
I think with that, like, we kind of say like, we can't get in the minutia of that. How did you end up here? But we're like, you are here. And so we're going to love you.
Yeah. And that's cool because it's a safe place. It's like, hey, I can go down here. I have someone to talk to, because a lot of people want to talk, and then a lot of people might need shoes. Like it's in Pittsburgh. It's cold here. Like you might need stuff. So that's really cool what you guys do, because it's like they have a place to go. People that care. It's not like I would say like big corporations, like just people showing up. It's like you're not just showing up, you're there because you care.
Yep.
And I think that's something.
That presence is crucial for people that show up just maybe once or twice. They might not feel that connection. They're kind of overwhelmed with the number of people and the movements and the stuff happening, and and just the organization sometimes. But it's when we have those volunteers that come down week after week after week, then the people that are our guests start to see them, and then they get a name one week, and then they get a story one week, and next thing you know, they're connected. There was a kid that was down there. He was a high school kid, and it took me 6 months. I'm a high school teacher. It took me 6 months to connect to this kid, where he finally would talk to me and interact, and and that changed a lot. Just and get his name and what his story is, and talk with him, and we've really connected with him and his family as a result. But that just presence weekly, week in, week out. Hi, what's your name? How are you? What's happening? There's plenty of people down there that will barely speak to me, or just look the other way. But just week after week, you just slowly kind of remind them, I'm here again. I'm here again. I'm here again.
It makes me think of a guest who, when we first started, was a little abrasive and cranky. Let's just call him cranky. And, Jack and I would leave frustrated because of him week after week. Just, gosh, he's just such a bear. And then one week I went up to him and I asked him his name. And he told me his name. And then the next week he came back and I called him by his name. And it was like his total attitude and demeanor changed. Like he was almost like, oh, I'm welcome here. I can be a part of this, and I don't have to be such a bear. These people are going to treat me kindly if I don't act like that. They treated me kindly when I was a jerk too, but just getting to know his name and, a little bit about him. And now he's, we have a great relationship with him.
That's pretty cool. And I'm just thinking about it too, because like me, I verbalize my thoughts. It's like if I got problems, I verbalize them. And I try talking to people, or I talk to my wife, even though sometimes she doesn't. It's a sounding board. But like in that situation, with some people don't have that. So it's like even the small thing like that is like just having that sounding board or somebody that cares to talk to makes a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine. Thought he's having someone to talk to.
Yeah. Just always being at guard, like watching your back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, anxiety is real, and there's so many people that just want 15 minutes of your time just to connect with a person.
Yeah. I remember you guys told me the story about the guy that was larger that someone brought it on underwear, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We have a husband and wife team that handle underwear. They came and served with us a few times and kind of started asking, like, what is a need that's not met? And if you've bought new underwear lately, they're expensive. And so it's not something people donate because you can't take used underwear. It has to be new. And so they just took it upon themselves to start to bring underwear every week. And most of the sizes aren't usually, for a person of his size. He's a tall and large man. And then he got to know him over time and he got him, the right size for him. And when he called him by his name, he just couldn't even believe that he knew his name. It wasn't not about the transaction at that point. It was about the interaction that they were having.
Yeah, that's crazy. You don't think about that stuff. Or at least I don't sometimes, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Think about how many interactions you have in a day with different people, depending on what you do or where you go. But there's so many and you just don't know which interaction matters. So
yeah.
It's kind of act like they all do.
Hey, well, let me ask you this. What's something small that somebody's done for you guys that made a difference in your life that they might not even know? Because you guys are doing all these things for other people. What's something that's happened in your life that was like, oh boy, that was like something small someone did for me, but it was like made a difference?
I would, two things come to mind. One is just like when people are genuinely thankful and just say, thank you. Like, I could not have done this and I needed this help. That's to me huge. The second one is we have a guy that comes down and he'll get a meal, and come through the line, but he also has taken on the role of like Harvest Street Mission, like pastor. So he prepares a message at the beginning of every meal, before we get together with our volunteers, and he'll share some Bible verses and pray, and like that's his role now. Like he's taken that on. He's that drives him and connects him. And that is just for me, just so humbling to see him say, oh yeah, now I want to be part of this team and I'm willing to prepare and be a part of it and come down and serve with you guys every week.
And I think, so many little things for Harvest, but I also think kind of on like a personal level for myself when I was like in my early 20s and, not in a great time in my life and struggling financially. And my oldest brother showed up with a couple bags full of groceries, just like he knew his sister was, going through a tough time and he didn't know exactly what I needed or how to make it better, but he knew that, I had a mouth to feed and he was going to show up with that. So I think about that a lot of times, like at that time of my life, it was a tough time. And if I bet you if I asked him today, he wouldn't even remember that, but it just stuck with me forever.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You probably wouldn't remember, but yeah, it's weird how those things at a specific times in your life, you need some help and someone else is just like that big deal because it's not a big thing for them.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Anyway, I think we're about out of time. Thanks for coming on, guys. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
So we have a website, harveststreetmission.org. There's a form you can fill out there that will send an email to us. There's one phone number on our website and it comes to my cell phone. We're on social media on Instagram and Facebook, but a phone call is great. An email, if you want to sign up to bring the meal on our website, you just get on the click the Get Involved tab and you can sign up to bring the meal. It's a big undertaking, as you can imagine, or you can just click the button to sign up to just come and help. It's just a form, just for you to fill out, and then we'll follow up with an email with all the details that you need. So I'd say those are probably the
if anybody just Googles Harvest Street Mission, you'll find our connection stuff, and a lot of times just coming down once, show up with nothing, just be ready to get involved and be a part of the crew, and then that allows people to kind of see what we do, see how things work, and then decide their next steps.
And then you said the website's harveststreetmission.com, right?
.org.
.org. Okay, harveststreetmission.org. We'll put it in the show notes. So if you say that if somebody wants to supply the meal, what's all involved with that? Like how much food are you talking?
Well, right now we're asking people to bring enough food for between 100 to 120. And
that's a lot of food.
It is a lot of food. It's a big undertaking. We definitely ask for there to be a protein. Just so there's some sustenance for people. Beyond that, whatever you want to bring. A lot of people cook, in their homes or their churches and, a big commercial kitchen. Some people just order catering or, we always say fried chicken from Walmart is like the favorite meal and it's easy to get. So, there's a bunch of different options, but you're bringing the food for that many people. You're bringing the drink for that many people. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot. It's good because when you look at a number like 100 or 120, you're probably not, one couple or one or two people probably won't pull that off. So that's where that spider web happens, that they then call in friends and family. And we've had so many different people come down and bring meals that have said, oh, we talked to this person, we joined this person. And so they like team up into these groups and then they bring their kids and then they bring their, church group and then they bring their youth group and whatever. So it's great that, 100 could seem daunting, but that actually develops more people into your group to help you.
I know we're out of time, but I must say to that, that's how it was when we started. We just would sign up for a meal. Then I would just send an email out to 20 random people that are friends or family. They're like, hey, Jack and I are going to provide this meal. Does anybody want to help? And it was like, everybody wants to help, but they just did their little piece. And everybody's little piece just came together to be just a fantastic thing. And some of the people are still the ones that support us today.
That's a good point too, because you involving other people, no one can do the meal by themselves. Like most people, unless you're like a bazillionaire or something. So like you involving the other people though, they get to pitch in. Everyone gets to feel good.
Yep.
Everyone gets to, then the meal happens. So it's like, instead of one person taking the undertaking, it's like, hey, let me just tag you in. Like if someone hit me up, they're like, hey, you know what? Can you help out on this? I'm going to say, yeah.
Of course.
So if someone hits me up and is like, hey, I need you to help do 150 meals, you got to think about that. But if it's like, hey, you know what? I'm getting 10, 15 people together.
Yeah.
It's not so daunting.
And each of those people has the social media and their connections and their own people. And that's where growth happens.
And I think about the relationship that grows between them too, serving together. It changes your relationship.
Yeah. What do you see whenever people come down? And say the people come down the first time. So like me, I've never been down where you guys are at. So I visually think I know, and I'd probably come down and it'd be totally different. But it's like, okay, you come down, you don't really know what's going on. What are they like when they're leaving?
Oh my
God. Volunteers. Like, what's the transformation there?
I mean, go ahead.
I mean, I just, one thing is they're often thanking us. Like they've just come down, provided, served, worked, did all the sweat equity. And a lot of times they're thanking us for being there. And, that just sometimes blows my mind. I'm like, no, like, you provided the meal, you did all the work. And, but still that they are just happy to have been a part of it. And I think the people that come down and have a similar mindset that we had, where we saw it and we're like, no, things have to change for us on our end. We want to be a part, more of a part. Those are the people that really you kind of connect to when they're like, I'm coming back. And then they do, and then they bring their friends and family or spouses or whatever. That's just been awesome.
I even think about the new family we had yesterday. The dad messaged afterwards and he said, this was good for our souls. A mom and a dad and 2 young kids. Those are his words. This was so good for our souls. And I just thought, what more could you ask for?
The win-win.
Yeah, it sure is.
And you don't think about it too, because doing things like that, you don't do it you don't do it for yourself. It's a byproduct. It's like, you help other people, you just feel better.
Yep. Yeah, it sure is.
What do you guys need help with? Like, what are some of your top needs at the moment?
Human.
Yeah, I would say just, like as far as the actual things we do, like winter boots are crucial right now.
But I didn't hear what you just said there.
Sorry, winter boots are crucial.
Oh, winter boots. Okay. Oh, yeah.
But really, I think it's just people that want to go that extra mile are crucial, that are willing to sacrifice for somebody that is never going to repay them. and love on somebody that, needs some time or some resources or some guidance or just somebody to talk to. I think that's really what we need. And, I think it's changed us, and it's hopefully changing a lot of people.
What's the age group? Like, what's the youngest that people bring kids down? Because it's like sometimes some kids are too young; they might not be able to behave or anything. Like, what's an appropriate age?
I mean, I would say, we've been taking our children for a long time. I would say our youngest was maybe 4 when we started. A 4-year-old can hand on a bottle of water. We do ask for a ratio of 1 adult to 2 children if they're under 18. That's really important for us that, someone doesn't show up by themselves with 5 kids. But we have found work for everyone.
Yeah, and school age kids are good because they recognize like some of the patterns that we have. Like there's lines, and we're doing a system, and this is your responsibility. So we always have stuff. That's why people bring all kinds of different ages down, is because they know that there's a job for everybody there. If you could be 4 years old and you're handing out bottles of water, or you are, bagging up, napkins into a bag kind of thing. So there's always, great opportunities, but school age kids are great for our process.
Okay, that's good to know. So basically anybody, unless they're like babies.
We've had people, with the baby strapped on for sure. Quite a few. Yeah, sometimes dads.
Not in the freezing cold winter you have currently, but you get a nice spring or fall day. You have parents that have different age group. They have a school age kid that wants to help, and then they got a 6-month-old that is just there along for the ride.
Yeah, interesting. That's
One
cool.
thing I want us to say, and I know you're told us we're over, but what's neat is that in our years now, we have had adults come to serve with us, even signing up for the meal, that came when they were kids, back when it was Mission from Mars with Christy. And they're like, I did this when I was a kid, or I did this when I was in junior high with my blah, blah, blah team. And they're like, and I never forgot it. And so now here I am all these years later as an adult here serving with you. So I think, what Jack's saying, having the young generation is just so wonderful.
Yeah. And you're right too, because like one person knows about you guys and they round up a whole bunch of people to come down, like say like Cub Scouts or church group or anything. Then all those other people learn about what you guys are doing, and everyone can help their own way. Like some guys might be able to donate boots. Some people might want to come down. Some people might have a restaurant and cook or whatever.
We've seen it all.
Yeah. Haircuts and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. That's like when people talk about social media and all the negatives, but this is one of the few places that I see it's so valuable. We could never get the word out and get all these people knowing what's happening without social media. Everybody's Instagram, TikTok, whatever, Twitter, Facebook. That's really generating a lot of buzz for us.
You know what? Haircuts too. That's interesting. So it's like basically everyone just looks at what their skill sets are. It's like if you can cut, I can't cut hair. My wife actually she worked in a hair salon, so it's like things like that you don't think about. It's like, hey, I can cut hair.
Yep.
People need their haircut.
We will gladly have you.
Yeah, and we have a guy that comes down and has a speaker and sound system, and he plays music and shares a message. We have people that just go through the line and pray. We had people that do underwear. We had people that just kind of stand back and wait for the garbage to fill up, or people that say, "Oh, I'm just going to work on fighting people in line that are trudging through snow and slush in their sneakers and get a boots." So there's all kinds of just different avenues that people have been a part of. We have one guy that runs a cleaning business, and he brings his toilet paper. Like, people need toilet paper. That's something that, he's like, this is something I can do and be a part of.
That's cool. How do you guys keep doing it? That's a lot of freaking work. Like, you're every week.
I would say it's 90% her, and I drive the trailers.
Yeah.
I do have to unload the trailer, so that's extra. But yeah, I think it's all the people that we serve alongside with, and that we serve to.
And our children are help. Our poor kids are forever unloading a load of donations or moving bins, or I can't even think what else.
Also are reloading and unloading too while we're down there too.
But how was it yesterday driving home? So we had 2 of the kids down yesterday, and they, like Jack said, are on the loading and unloading team. And this is 11 and 14 years old, okay? And another person who was there for the first time was like reloading the trailer with the bins. And on the drive home, they were like correcting how she was loading. It's like, can you believe how she did that? Like, and just the ownership that they took on their role. I mean, Jack and I were just, it was just, I don't even know what the word was, but it was just surreal that they were just like talking about, no, this is my role and this is how I do it. That person didn't know what they were doing, so super cool.
And we see a lot of parents that bring their kids down and then just see their kids just take on a whole different personality, like maybe their kids in the car on their phone the whole time. And then they get down to homeless serving and they just blossom into somebody that wants to be there for others or hand out stuff or do kids games or whatever. And that, so that's really, as parents, watching other parents watch their kids develop a habit or a love that maybe wasn't there before has been all inspiring.
Yeah, that's really cool. Hey, well, thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, so harveststreetmission.org.
Yep, that's us.
Hey, do you guys have a link? I know you have an Amazon wish list. Is that on there too?
It is. Oh, yeah, it's on the Get Involved tab.
Okay, cool. So basically, all the different ways to help are listed on the website. People just check it out.
They sure are.
All right, good stuff. Hey, Wemblin, thanks for listening. Check them out in Pittsburgh, harveststreetmission.org. Reach out, spread the message. And thanks for coming, guys. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Brian. Take care. See ya.